Hi, welcome to Tuesday's Trash Talk at 10. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Cheryl Baldwin, and I'm with the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. And I also run the What's In, What's Out campaign for the Recycle CT Foundation. And today we're going to be talking about paint. But first, if you have other topics or questions that you have, by all means, put them in the comments section, and I could cover it in the future at a Trash Talk. So paint, what is it about paint? Well, I've been getting questions about paint, and so first thing you should know is that paint is out. It does not belong in your curbside bin or your mixed recycling single stream program, whether you collect curbside or at your transfer station. So that's first thing. However, the material is valuable and we can recover it for reuse and recycling. But first, as we think about the pyramid or the hierarchy, if you will, about how we should be managing waste, let's first talk about waste reduction. Waste reduction is a way of saying, hey, don't buy paint if you don't need it. And so the best thing to do is go to a calculator and calculate how big is your room, how much paint do you need, and only buy what you need. So buying smart. We've talked about this before, but buying smart actually will reduce waste. So if you have leftover paint, you could also reuse it. Some people use it for touch-ups. Sometimes you might use it for different projects, or you might donate it, perhaps to a theater group, or perhaps to a building materials reuse center like Habitat for Humanity, which sometimes takes reusable paint. And even our transfer stations sometimes have swap shops where you can bring paint, good paint in good condition, and somebody else may want it. So, recycling. If we can't reduce it, and we have leftovers, and we have so many leftover paint that we need to do it, manage it another way, it can be brought to participating drop-off sites. If you're not aware, PaintCare is an organization that runs a stewardship program in Connecticut. It's a stewardship program because when we buy paint, a small nominal fee is charged, and that is given to PaintCare, and PaintCare then develops a whole program on how to collect paint, how to recover it for recycling and or energy recovery. This is awesome. And it's done at no cost to us and no cost to others that participate in the program, like painting contractors. It's sort of like anybody who buys paint buys into this great program. It's awesome. So PaintCare is a great organization to check out. They not only have a list of where you can bring your paint in Connecticut, but they also have other things. They have links to the calculators that I was mentioning about how to reduce paint waste. And they actually have links to calculators at all, perhaps your favorite stores, both box stores as well as like paint stores and hardware stores. Awesome. So what do they accept? Again, roughly they take house paint and stains and decking concrete sealers and clear finishes, but PaintCare on their webpage has a whole list of things that they accept in the PaintCare program and things they don't accept in the PaintCare program. Things that are acceptable are collected at participating hardware stores, paint stores, and transfer stations. However, be aware that there have been some glitches. Of course, in March and April, when we were in quarantine, some businesses decided to not collect paint. It was just, too much above everything else. However, slowly, since May 20th, when things are beginning to reopen in Connecticut, you'll find stores are more and more collecting paint again. But the best thing to do is to call ahead. So I encourage you to go to paintcare.org and find your local drop-off and just call ahead and make sure that they are back in operation. The other thing to be aware of is that traditionally hardware and retail stores only limit you to about 5 gallons. And so they do take all sizes. They take the big cans, they take the small cans, and even smaller cans. But you do need to call ahead and make sure that they are collecting and accepting. Something else you should be aware of, when I was looking for props for today, I pulled out all sorts of cans and discovered I have a can that's empty. So what do you do with a can that's empty? Well, what's funny is that it's actually marked. It says almost empty. And this is a great way of actually storing, is sort of putting a little bit of paint on top to let you know what color it is and maybe some indication of how old it is. And when I opened it, I discovered it's all dried out and empty. So what can I do with this? This goes in my trash. I cannot bring it back to PaintCare. They want to recycle reusable paint, leftover paint. This is just trash. There's nothing in it. And while you could recycle the metal, it's not acceptable in the curbside program. It's not acceptable in mixed recycling or single stream. It is trash. So what happens when all of our paint is brought to all of the participating retailers, hardware stores, etc., and transfer stations? All that material is collected and processed. Another cool thing that's on the PaintCare website is they have reports. And they have shared also fun factoid sheets that says Connecticut now has 149 year-round drop-off sites. That's pretty cool. And last year, they processed over 390,000 gallons of paint. 80% of that was latex, 20% was oil-based. And out of the latex, 83% of it was put back into paint. And that's how it's recovered. They actually blend and clean and filter, and they sort of put colors together, and then they bulk it up, and it's sold domestically as well as internationally and used again as paint. And the other thing that they had is they had 43 large volume pickups. What are those? Those are for contractors. So if you're a painting contractor, or you know a painting contractor, you can actually participate in this program for free as well. And if you have a large volume, perhaps you've been storing it in your shed and your garage and that warehouse out back, don't be concerned. You just have to call PaintCare, and they'll actually schedule time to come out, and they will pick up all your paint. Isn't that awesome? That is great. Because, of course, who knows what was happening to a lot of that paint if people were not storing it. We definitely don't want it to enter our environment and cause pollution. So PaintCare is pretty cool. The other thing I want to let you know is that the oil-based paint is not put back into paint. That is used for fuel. And it's used in cement kilns mostly, as well as part of the incineration process. But I believe all those facilities are outside of the state. Both the paint-to-paint manufacturing as well as the cement kilns and the incineration use. What else can I tell you about paint? Well, I think that's it. So I thank you very much. I appreciate you recycling right, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.